would read them. And I would imagine myself as a character to make myself feel safe in this type of situation. And there were times where my mom would be able to stay at a boarding home. And at this boarding home, this guy would let my mom and us stay there if she did work around the house and she didn't have enough money to pay rent there. But there were times where someone would come in the middle of the night, and it didn't matter if it was 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning. If they had the money to stay there, he'd come and knock at our door, and my mom would have to just pack us up and whatever little things we had, and she would take us and we would find us a place to sleep that was the safest place out there. And being homeless on the streets was hard, but trying to get to school every single day was even harder. So we would get ready for school in gas station bathrooms. We didn't have enough money to get on a trolley to take to school every day, or a train there. So me and my sister would get on this trolley every single day, and we would do what we call trolley hopping. So we would get on, hope that we didn't run into a police officer, and then if we did, we'd jump off and get on the other car and do this every single day just to get to school at 9 and 10 years old. Just to get an education that we felt that we deserved just as much as the next child did. And once I got to school, it was like, how was I expected to think about a hard math problem or a hard vocabulary word when I was thinking about where my next meal is coming from, if my family's okay, or better yet, where am I going to sleep at night? And it was even harder for me when teachers would ask questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? And all these kids would raise their hands and say what they wanted to be, and the teacher would give them these words of encouragement. But when I gave my answer, it was as if I could see doubt in their eyes, like, how could you possibly want to be something like that and you don't even have a place to go at night? Or how could you possibly want to be something like that and you don't have a support system and you only have one parent? But through all of this, my mom always taught me that it wasn't going to be about those obstacles that made me special, because everybody has obstacles and everybody has circumstances and goes through things in life. But she told me it was going to be the way that I overcame each and every one of these obstacles that were going to take me to the next level. So my mom, she decided to move from Arizona when I was 10 years old. And we finally landed into a long-term shelter. After going to Salvation Army in San Diego, California, it was a little difficult for us at that time because we'd have to get there by a certain time every day. So my mom couldn't work a full-time job because we needed to be there. And if you don't work a full-time job, you don't bring in full-time money. So it was hard, and that's how we stayed in this cycle of homelessness. And then finally, when we got into this long-term shelter, my mom was able to have us, we had a room, and we were able to stay there every single day and have a place that we could go back to and have food for 3 meals a day. But most importantly, this got my mom back on her feet, and we were able to get into Section 8 housing and food stamps. And this landed us into an apartment that just so happened to be right behind a Boys and Girls Club. And I used to be shy. I'm not shy anymore. I can talk to you for hours up here, but I'm sure you don't got all that time. But I walked into the Boys and Girls Club one day, and I had that courage. I didn't go there before because I knew it would cost some money, but I knew that my family didn't have money. But I told my friends, you know, I can't go. I got to help my mom out, because I was embarrassed of walking in there and not being able to afford it and them turning me away. So I walked in, and the lady said, I asked her, I said, what does it take for me to become a member here? And she said, well, you bring back this $20 membership fee in this application form. And I just said, okay. And I put my head down, and I was going to start walking out. And I said, thank you. And she said, wait, come back. And she paid that $20 membership fee for me. And I talk about how that changed the rest of my life. And at the Boys and Girls Club, I mean, the $20 you may think is so little, but for me, that meant the world. The Boys and Girls Club provided me with resources. It eliminated those excuses that I could have used to not do my homework. I could no longer say I don't have a pencil. I could no longer say I don't have a laptop, or I don't have internet. Oh my God, he's crying. You're going to make me cry up here. But I can no longer say these things that would stop me from being successful, because I had the Boys and Girls Club, and because I had those resources there that were going to take me to that next level. I had the mentors. The computer lab stayed open until 9 p.m. every single night, so I could go there and get ahead in my college courses while I was in high school. If I was ever hungry, I could have a meal there. And because of the Boys and Girls Club, I ended up graduating from my high school, third in my class. And then I went on from there. My mom always taught me that school was going to be that key to success and my way out. But for those of you who know, you fill out FAFSA, and my first FAFSA, my mom made $4,000 for the entire year because she was just a crossing guard. So I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford college. I knew I wasn't going to be able to go there. But because of the Boys and Girls Club, I had that opportunity to go to college. So in 2010, I went through this Youth of the Year competition, and you'll hear from these Youth of the Years coming up, and that opportunity changed my life. At first they said, Mona, you're going to have to share your story on homelessness, and I didn't want to do that because I used to be ashamed of being homeless. I didn't want people to know. I didn't want those kids to know why my clothes was torn, or why I had to wear the same clothes multiple days in a week, or why they were dirty from time to time. And having to share that story and open up and be vulnerable with people was very frightening to me. But when they told me, Mona, you can win some scholarship money, I was like, sign me up. So we did that. And again, as he mentioned, I was awarded after becoming the National Youth of the Year for Boys and Girls Clubs of America over $100,000 in scholarships. That paid for my bachelor's degree in business management, my master's in communication studies, and now I'm in my doctoral program in organizational leadership. So that definitely changed my life. But also just the experiences that I received going through there, being recognized by President Obama when I was 17 years old in the Oval Office. I was speechless, I was nervous. Imagine that I was speechless. I can talk, but I was speechless. And it was because just 4 years before that, I was living in a homeless shelter. And if I would have told many people, well, in 4 years I'm going to go to the Oval Office and I'm going to meet with President Obama and he's going to recognize me, they'd probably tell me I was crazy, or that's not possible, or that's not going to happen. But because of individuals like you sitting in here today, because of people like you who invest in these youth and give your time, and give your wisdom and give your love to these young people, I can stand before you today. And in many, many years, you're going to see these other kids stand before you today, and you all give us a second chance at life, and you all help us make it to that next level. I had the opportunity to tour 2 different clubs today, and then speak to them. And I thought, these are really, really young kids. I'm like, are they really going to understand where I'm coming from? And they did. And they had so many questions that finally Mr. Dickerson had to say, uh-oh, we got to tour the club now. She got to go. But they had so many questions. They were powerful questions. And I got to speak about homelessness, and they asked a lot of questions about that. And these kids were really, really young. And I found out later that some of these kids actually go to that shelter that I actually got to tour today. And that humbled me very much, to go in there and see these beds that these women got to call their own, and they got to have. To me, to other people, you would walk in there and you would just think these were beds. But to me, walking in here, I saw like opportunity, and I saw a second chance, and I saw something that they could call their own, because they went there, they had their own beds, they had their own lockers, they had things that belonged to them, and they had a place that they could come back to every day. And that's what this Boys and Girls Club does for these kids. It gives them a stable place where they can come back to every single day. These staff are stable in their lives. They may not have their mom, or they may not have their father, but they know every single day that they walk into this Boys and Girls Club, they have these individuals there for them to see them. So I just want to thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your time. Thank you for everything that you do for these young people, because I don't want to say that they're going to grow up and be a whole bunch of Monas, but they're going to be a whole bunch of whatever success means to them in their way. And you're helping them, you're believing in them, you're giving them that second chance, and you're giving them that great future. So I thank you all for that today. I thank you for investing in them, because when you invest in them, you invest in me, and you invest in the future of this country and in the future of this world. And you help make this world a better place through these young people, because whether we like it or not, I know we hear all those millennial jokes all the time, but we're the future, and those kids are our future, and you're you're investing in them. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I thank you for continuing to work hard for these kids and continuing to believe in them, even though they might be rough sometimes, but still coming back and still giving them those high fives and doing whatever it takes. I know my dad's gonna laugh because I always steal these lines for him. But another thing was that Frank Sanchez, can you please stand up? I know you're not gonna like this. Stand up. So Frank Sanchez works for Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and through my Youth of the Year journey, this is the thing that was the most powerful for me. Through my journey, I got to get to know him over a year and work with him, and he'd always take me to lunch and different things. And one day we were sitting in New Orleans at a table, and he said, you know, you never really told me your full story about your father, and I lost my father, and I never got to meet him, and I started to tell him that. And he grabbed my hands and he looked me in my eyes and he said, you know, if I had a daughter, I want her to be just like you. And I said, you know, if I had a dad, I'd want him to be just like you. And he said, well, how do I sign up? Obviously, the rest is history. So there's my dad. In the front right here, this is my godmom who helped my mom raise me at a very young age. And this is her first time being able to hear me speak. And for a big part of my life, she didn't know that we were homeless because my mom was too prideful and she didn't want to ask for help and she didn't want to let her know, but she helped me raise me when I was a little girl, and I'm so thankful for you all allowing her to be here today. And I just can't express how thankful I am for each and every one of you here and all the work that you do. All the Youth of the Years, I wish you the best, and I hope that you continue to allow your Youth of the Year journey to build you up and give you that strong foundation to go forward. To the Parkers, I hope that you continue to give to this organization and continue to lead it so that more kids can grow up and have great futures. And for the staff and for the families, thank you, thank you, thank you, and God bless you all. Thank you.
They should have had tissues at the table. You young lady are a true inspiration, and we're so grateful for your presence here tonight. And I just want to say to the young people who are going to get up and have to speak later on, that's a pretty tough act to follow as a Youth of the Year. So you weren't that good when you were their age, right?
No, I wasn't.
You got better because you are remarkable. Thank you so much for being here. All right.